Hi everyone. Today we are going to talk about our comma rules that we use when we're using conjunctions in sentences. So the first thing that we need to do is refresh your memory on independent and dependent clauses. So this is basically saying what is a complete sentence and what is not a complete sentence. An independent clause is considered a complete sentence. And we consider it that way because that means that the sentence has a noun or pronoun. It has a verb, and it expresses a complete thought. So an example would be, I walked my dog after school. A dependent clause means that it is not a complete sentence because it's missing one of these three things. So a dependent clause lacks a noun or pronoun, meaning it doesn't have a subject like a noun or pronoun. It means that there may not be a verb in there, or it does not express a complete thought. So an example of that would be my dog. It's lacking a verb and it does not have a complete thought. A dependent clause needs an independent clause, so a full sentence, to be with it in order to be a complete sentence. This will make a little bit more sense once we start looking at examples. So for now, we want to practice to see if we can identify independent and dependent clauses. Here's my first sentence. I enjoy reading by the fireplace. Looking at the sentence, I have a noun or pronoun. It's I. Next, I look for a verb. I have enjoy. And I look at the sentence as a whole. I enjoy reading by the fireplace. And yes, that is a complete thought. It makes sense if you were to say it to someone else. So, it has a subject, it has a verb, and it has a complete thought. So it's independent. Because I can't wait for the bus. I look for my subject, which I have. It's I. It's a noun or pronoun. I look for the verb, can't wait. But does it express a complete thought? Because I can't wait for the bus isn't a complete thought. It sounds like there should be something coming next, so it doesn't make complete sense. For that reason, it's dependent. Meredith fixed the leaky faucet by herself. Independent. Hurricanes strengthen over warm waters. Also independent. Both sentences have subjects, so nouns or pronouns. There are verbs, and they both make sense. Until the sun sets. This is dependent because it does not express a complete thought. I have a noun, and there's a verb. But if I walked up to someone and said, until the sun sets, they would probably not have any idea what I was talking about. Therefore, it means it is not a complete thought, so it's dependent. And finally, as the lights were dimming, this is also dependent because it does not express a complete thought. Today, we are going to focus on coordinating conjunctions. We use an acronym to remember our coordinating conjunctions, and that is FANBOYS. FANBOYS stands for and, nor, but, or, yet, so. So here are our comma rules. For now, we want you to fill these in on your note sheet, but this will make much more sense once we start looking at the example sentences. But for now, you need to know the rules before we apply them. So with our commas, when we're writing, and if we have two independent clauses, and we're combining them with a coordinating conjunction, so one of our FANBOYS, we need to put a comma before the conjunction in our sentence. If we have an independent clause and a dependent clause, then we do not need a comma. Let's look at our first example. The sentence is, my dog's collar is too big, so it occasionally comes off. The first thing I want to do is locate my coordinating conjunction. So I think of my acronym. For, and, nor, but, or, yet, so. So is my coordinating conjunction, so I circle it. Now I look to the left of that conjunction. I see the sentence, my dog's collar is too big. It has a subject, collar, is my verb, and it expresses a complete thought. So this sentence is an independent clause. I then look to the right. It occasionally comes off. It is my subject, comes off as my verb, and it expresses a complete thought. So again, this is independent. Excuse me. My comma rule is when I have two independent clauses, I need a comma before the conjunction. My sentence should read, my dog's collar is too big, comma, so it occasionally comes off. Here are two more practice sentences. Read them to yourself and identify if each sentence needs a comma or not. Here is the answer. Number 2, your sentence should read, Sally likes to go to the movies, comma, but she cannot make it to tonight's show. Number 3, the girls skipped and jumped off to the park. This sentence does not need a comma, so you should just put a check mark next to that sentence to show that you've looked it over and realized it does not need a comma. Read over sentences 4, 5, and 6 and insert commas where they are needed. You can check your answers on the next slide. Sentence 4 should read, I like pizza, comma, but I don't like mushroom toppings. Number 5 is good. It does not need a comma and should read, I like dogs, but not large ones. And number 6 should read, Tom went snowboarding, comma, and he rode off a jump. Here is some independent practice. Again, for each sentence, read all 6 and determine whether each sentence needs a comma or not. The answer key is on the next slide. Looking at the sentences, number 1 should have a comma between night and so. Number 2 does not need a comma. Number 3 needs a comma between Truman and yet. Number 4 needs a comma between over and but. Number 5 does not need a comma. And for number 6, you need a comma between game and. If you would like some more practice, you can write your own sentences on your note sheet. Otherwise, you'll want to go back to Google Classroom and follow the directions to sign on to the website No Red Ink to get some more practice with Fanboys.